Greetings, viewers! Natai here, bringing you another commentary. You know, I really didn't think I was going to do another video related to Harry Potter, largely because I hadn't been able to get motivated for such a long time. However, today we're responding to a video on my channel called The Take. They did a video on the boy who lived himself, and judging by the thumbnail I used for my video, I'm betting you can guess what they said. So, because I know you guys have missed me doing commentaries, let's dive in.
What happens if we consider Harry Potter not as a hero fighting against impossible odds, but as a human being?
You're a right foul git, you know that.
Cut through all the heroic hype, and you'll find that Harry can act like a pretty horrible person sometimes.
You better clear off before my bones come back, Dobby, or I might strangle you.
He's egotistical, recklessly impulsive, and self-centered. He always assumes he knows best and treats the people around him badly.
No offense, but I really don't care.
And he's willing to cause or allow great harm to get the outcomes he desires. While his story is framed as one of clear-cut good versus evil, in reality, Harry gets away with rotten behavior due to his hero label. His example reveals just how thin that line between good and evil can actually be.
For a moment there, I thought you were gonna let it get me.
For a moment, so did I.
Here's our take on why Harry Potter is not the kind of role model we need for heroes today.
Okay, as I'm sure you've noticed, they use out-of-context clips from the movies to push the narrative that Harry Potter is worse than he actually is. I can debunk the "he treats people around him badly" argument by letting you guys know the context of that little clip. In the Chamber of Secrets, Dobby the House Elf had been working to prevent Harry Potter from going back to Hogwarts due to there being an evil plot behind the scenes up in the Chamber of Secrets. That would cause a panic that would lead to the school eventually shutting down. After the House Elf's first two attempts failed, Dobby tampered with a bludger so that it would attack Harry during a Quidditch match, which resulted in Harry getting a broken arm and needing to spend the night in the school's infirmary. When confronted on this, Dobby's only excuse was that if Harry got injured enough, he'd want to go home. Yeah. If someone nearly got me killed and put in the hospital and gave me such limp-wristed excuses, I'd be pretty pissed with them too.
Your mother is a Lorem Ipsum.
Seeker, but first years never make the house teams. You must be the youngest Quidditch player in a century, according to McGonagall.
When examining Harry as a person, we can see that much of his behavior is guided by ego. Upon his entrance to the wizarding world, Harry is immediately the subject of special treatment due to his mythical status as the boy who lived.
That's why everybody knows your name. You're the boy who lived.
This understanding that he's special shapes his personality from this point on, and his ego gradually inflates with every movie.
I got to finish whatever Dumbledore started.
Yeah, that didn't have anything to do with ego. In The Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore confides in Harry that he had been diving into his past memories of when he met Tom Riddle before he became Lord Voldemort, eventually realizing that Voldemort had been creating Horcruxes in order to achieve a form of immortality. Dumbledore also made Harry promise that if something were to happen to him, Harry would continue to seek out the Horcruxes and destroy them in order to weaken Voldemort and bring him down to a level to where he could be defeated. And at the end of the book, spoilers, Dumbledore dies.
Severus Snape calls out Harry's blinding egoism from the jump.
Maybe some of you have come to Hogwarts in possession of abilities so formidable that you feel confident enough to not pay attention.
And while it's easy for us to dismiss Snape's comments as biased, unnecessary bullying because the story is framed sympathetically to Harry,
clearly, fame isn't everything, is it, Mr. Potter?
the young wizard's actions reveal there's a lot of truth to what Snape is saying.
No, they just strengthen Snape's bias due to having been bullied by Harry's father when they were both in school.
Harry's specialness stirs in him a sense of entitlement. From his steadfast belief that rules don't apply to him,
You're not allowed to do magic outside school.
Yeah? Try me.
In that scene, Harry had been emotionally driven after Vernon's sister Marge had been insulting his parents. And because Harry's magic is tied to his emotions, and he'd been suppressing his magic during Marge's visit, this caused him to unintentionally make Marge inflate like a balloon and float away. And since the Dursleys had been making life hell for Harry during all this time, he decided to say screw it and run away before term could start. Entitlement wasn't a factor.
Harry is a bundle of arrogant impulses, and he suffers from a serious case of main character syndrome.
How grand it must be to be the chosen one.
This affliction is glaringly evident in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Harry resents the Order and Dumbledore for excluding him from conversations on what's to come.
Couldn't put any of this in a letter, I suppose. I've gone all summer without a scrap of news.
Never mind that prior to Order of the Phoenix, Harry and Dumbledore had had a falling out with then Minister of Magic Cornelius Fudge, because Fudge refused to believe that Voldemort had come back, and chose to believe that they were simply lying. The book and movie also states that Fudge had become paranoid of Dumbledore, thinking Dumbledore was attempting a coup, and since the Ministry of Magic owns everything, including the mail system, it's not unbelievable to assume that letters to or from Harry, or anyone slightly connected to Dumbledore, might be intercepted.
Harry doesn't seem to grasp that this relationship isn't proof of any particular merit or insight he possesses, and when Snape and Dumbledore push him to master occlumency lessons, Harry barely puts in any effort.
Is this what you call control?
In fact, he sees it as an opportunity to get back at Snape.
Okay, while Harry did see bits of Snape's past, it wasn't to get back at him. The first time, it was Harry really acting without knowing what he was doing. His body just kind of reacted on its own to prevent Snape from looking at private memories. And the second time was because Harry's curiosity had gotten the better of him when Snape wasn't around, and Harry stuck his head in the pensieve Snape was borrowing from Dumbledore. Now, pensieve, if you're unaware, is a magical device that wizards use to store past memories, and anyone can gain access to them by putting their hand or whole head into the metal basin. Yes, Harry shouldn't have pried into Snape's memories, but neither time was done out of spite towards Snape.
Ad midem venium Tragula.
In The Deathly Hallows Part 1, his entitled impulsivity comes into play in what's one of his most selfish acts yet. He secretly leaves to go find the Horcruxes by himself, even though he's fully aware that he can be tracked down by the Death Eaters, making it easier for Voldemort to win.
Harry snuck away because he didn't want people getting hurt and potentially dying because of him. Hell, you even play this clip.
Nobody else is going to die. Not for me.
With a bucket of...
Oh, goody.
Now, granted, Harry's selfishness may scan as pretty typical behavior for an angsty adolescent, but it's made worse by his circumstances and by being thrust into the position of a hero.
I didn't put my name in that cup. I don't want eternal glory. I just want to be...
As the hero, however reluctant, Harry has a responsibility to know better.
You're bloody lucky you weren't killed. Sorry. You have to realize who you are, Harry.
He should be constantly aware of how influential his every action can be. And while obviously no one's perfect, he should at least be trying to tame his self-centeredness, not to indulge it.
Oh my god. Why won't you play the clip of Harry saying he didn't put his name in the Goblet of Fire and doesn't want to be famous, and then keep going with your Harry's got an ego narrative? Was there just no communication between the person who read this script and the video editor? Or was this just intentional to drive the people who actually read the books and watched the movies insane? Well, if you're trying to break me, I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you.
In a castle far away where no one can hear you. Soup. With a bucket of Mickey Mouse. And a stick of dynamite.
Harry also reflects the limitations of his Gryffindor culture by being shockingly narrow-minded, even outright prejudiced against Slytherins. it's pretty much guaranteed that he'll blame a Slytherin for what's happening, which often leads him to be wrong.
But Malfoy, the heir of Slytherin.
I mean, look at his family. The whole lot of them have been in Slytherin for centuries.
He leaps to accuse Snape, Draco Malfoy, and Sirius of crimes committed by Quirrell, Ginny, and Peter Pettigrew, respectively, even without sufficient evidence.
It was Malfoy.
That is a very serious accusation, Potter.
These are all easy to debunk. Peter Pettigrew is the Secret Keeper, or James and Lily Potter, despite being a terrible coward and fearing Lord Voldemort would hunt him down and kill him. Feeling there had been some sort of mistake, Sirius Black agreed to become the Secret Keeper, and was willing to die for the Potters if he had to. The entire wizarding world thought Black had betrayed the Potters, and last time I checked, Harry Potter isn't the entire wizarding world, as well as kill some innocent muggles. As for accusing Draco of being the heir of Slytherin, the Malfoy family were very proud of their pureblood heritage, looked down on Muggleborns, or as they call them, Mudbloods, and when the Chamber of Secrets was opened and Muggleborns were being petrified, Draco would taunt people.
It is curious that you should be destined for this wand, when its brother gave you that scar.
From the prophecy to their wands, Harry and Voldemort were destined to be tied to one another.
For neither can live while the other survives.
While his similarities to Tom Riddle deeply bother Harry, Dumbledore and Sirius both articulate that the fundamental difference between the two comes down to their choices.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
What matters is the path we choose to act on.
While they may be alike in some aspects of their nature, Tom chooses to be evil. Harry chooses to be good. But is it really as simple as that? In fact, what we actually see in the story emphasizes Harry's similarity to Voldemort far more than his difference.
When I first met young Mr. Riddle, he was a quiet, albeit brilliant boy committed to becoming a first-rate wizard. Not unlike yourself, in fact.
Growing up as orphans, living in homes where they're not wanted, both Harry and Tom are filled with feelings and impulses they can't seem to control.
I swear I don't know! 1 minute the glass was there and then it was gone. It was like magic!
While this may come across like a story that's about black and white moral lines, if you look closer, the books and films are actually inviting us to consider just how alike they are.
Tom was an orphan because his mother drugged his father into returning her feelings, but when she stopped giving him the potion, Tom Riddle Sr. abandoned her, and because Merope had such a low opinion of herself, she chose to die after giving birth. Harry was orphaned because Voldemort murdered his parents, because they were both allies of Dumbledore, and refused to let their infant son be slaughtered by him. When Hagrid told Harry he was a wizard, Harry was sure there had been some sort of mistake, but when Dumbledore told Tom he was a wizard, it made Tom perceive himself as superior to regular people. Harry didn't mean to scare people when his magic caused strange things to happen, but it's implied that Tom had already been experimenting with his powers to bully the other orphans before he even knew he was a wizard.
Harry's and Voldemort's kindredness goes much deeper than their shared backstories or common lineage. Fundamentally, both believe it's okay to do dark things as a means to an end. While they may be alike in some aspects of their nature, Tom chooses to be evil. Harry chooses to be good.
Do something! Tell them I mean no harm!
I'm sorry, Professor. I must not tell lies.
So I think we can all tell this is bull, right? Dolores Umbridge was basically the antagonist of Order of the Phoenix, due to her being placed at Hogwarts by Fudge, trying to quash talk of Voldemort's return, and the coup Fudge perceived was going on at the school. The line, "I must not tell lies," comes from the fact that Umbridge had tricked Harry into writing that little sentence with a quill that was enchanted to cut the sentence into the back of his hand as he wrote it. Umbridge was also a speciesist bitch, viewing part humans like the centaurs that live in the Forbidden Forest as inferior creatures. When she attacked one and they retaliated, she begged Harry to tell them that she didn't mean to hurt them, but Harry refuses to lie for her.
Nagini. Kill.
When his impulses get the best of him, Harry doesn't hesitate to inflict pain on others.
Expelliarmus! What did you just do?
You attacked a teacher!
Upon finding out that Peter Pettigrew betrayed his parents, Harry's instant reaction is to send him to the Dementors where he'll be tortured.
I said we'd take you to the castle. After that, the Dementors can have you.
He waffles when it comes to saving Cedric in the maze, attempts the Cruciatus curse on Bellatrix after she kills Sirius, and even uses the curse once more in the novels against a Death Eater. In The Half-Blood Prince, Harry also uses a spell he doesn't understand on Draco, without a second thought as to what the outcome might be. From Harry's actions, we see that he recognizes torture, severe punishment, and even death as a means to his heroic ends. Harry may choose to be heroic, but how he chooses to be heroic speaks to the darkness inside of him.
Yeah, because it's not like Pettigrew sold out Harry's parents or anything. Not like when Harry found out the truth and saw what a pathetic little man Pettigrew was, that his sympathy stretched only so much that he refused to let his father's old friends kill him. Not like Harry makes the right choice to save Cedric while he's being attacked by a monster. While I forget the context you gave from the novel, the Death Eaters are still basically Lord Voldemort's henchmen. They cause pain, chaos, and death, either because they want to, or because they're terrible cowards and are afraid of their own master. Maybe this Death Eater was threatening someone at the Battle of Hogwarts. I don't know, you don't give us context. As for the Bellatrix thing, it's not like she was a factor in Sirius Black's death or anything. Not like Harry became ruled by emotion, and even then Bellatrix taunted Harry, saying that the curse was weak when he used it, because you have to mean to cause pain when using it. And Harry was nowhere as sadistic as a Death Eater. What, it's okay that Mrs. Weasley killed Bellatrix for attacking her daughter, but it's bad when Harry wanted to kill her for being a factor in his godfather's death? Lastly, you're forgetting that Draco attacked Harry first for spying on him. Harry had no clue what the spell was meant to do, since he'd just been copying down notes in a spell book he'd found throughout the Half-Blood Prince, and said notes had proved quite useful. He didn't intend to cause actual life-threatening harm to Draco. He was just reacting to being attacked first. Harry causes pain due to his emotions getting the better of him and him not thinking clearly. Voldemort makes a conscious decision to cause harm and kill those he views as beneath him or have outlived their usefulness. And I'm stopping here. The rest of the video is just going over characters the narrator feels would make better heroes. It's amazing how easily this video's arguments can be torn apart by anyone who's actually read the books and watched the movies. I'm not going to say that Harry's a flawless character. Hell, he's not even my favorite character. That would be Hagrid. But they cut out so much context to make Harry look worse than he actually is. Anyways, this is Night Night Ice saying thanks for watching, and please share your thoughts with me.